You don't belong here. You should be at the zoo, not a lavish party like this. Aaliyah stopped walking. She turned her head slowly toward the voice. Claudia Whitmore stood there with a glass of wine and a smile that didn't look friendly. You're supposed to serve drinks, not walk around like a guest. Aaliyah kept her tone calm. I'm serving, ma'am. Really? Claudia said, because it looks like you're standing in the wrong place. I'm just waiting for the next tray, Aaliyah replied. Claudia tilted her glass. You people always have an answer for everything. I'm just doing my job. Your job is to listen, Claudia said, and threw the wine straight at her. The red liquid hit Aaliyah's shirt. The noise in the room stopped for a few seconds. Someone gasped. Someone else laughed. Most people pretended not to see. Aaliyah didn't move. You didn't have to do that. Claudia raised her eyebrows. What did you say? I said you didn't have to do that. You think you can talk back to me? Claudia's voice went higher. Do you even know who I am? Aaliyah met her eyes. No, ma'am. And I don't think it matters. Claudia looked at her friends. You hear that? She doesn't think it matters. One woman said softly, Claudia, maybe stop. Don't tell me to stop, Claudia snapped. If they can't follow simple directions, they shouldn't be hired. Aaliyah said, I didn't touch you. You threw wine on me. Claudia stepped closer. Watch your tone. I'm speaking normally. No, you're not. You're being rude. I'm standing here and telling you the truth. You people always say that, Claudia muttered. Ethan Whitmore, sitting 2 tables away, put his drink down. He didn't say a word. He just watched. Aaliyah looked around. Nobody was stepping in. The manager was frozen by the wall. The band kept playing but quieter now. She picked up the broken glass and set it on her tray. I'll clean it up, she said. Of course you will, Claudia replied. That's what you're here for. Aaliyah walked away. No one stopped her. In the back hallway, one of the servers met her at the door. What the hell was that? Nothing new, Aaliyah said. She really did that. Yeah. You want me to get the supervisor? She's not going to do anything. Aaliyah changed shirts in the staff room. She checked the recorder under her collar. The light was still blinking. She took a short breath and walked back out. Claudia was still talking to her group, loud enough for everyone to hear. They don't even apologize anymore, she said. No manners at all. Aaliyah walked past her table. Claudia glanced at her and smiled. You done making a mess? Claudia asked. I'm done cleaning yours, Aaliyah said. Claudia's smile dropped. Excuse me? You heard me, Aaliyah said and kept walking. Her co-worker near the bar whispered. You just said that to her face? Yeah, you're crazy. Maybe. Ethan Whitmore followed Aaliyah with his eyes. When she disappeared behind the service door again, he stood up. A few minutes later, Aaliyah came out with a clean tray. Ethan stepped toward her. Miss Carter? She turned. Yes, sir. I saw what happened. I should have said something sooner. It's fine, she said. It's not fine, he replied. It happens. It shouldn't. Maybe not, but it does. He paused. You handled it better than anyone I've seen in that room tonight. Handling it doesn't fix it, she said. He nodded slowly. You're right. She looked at him for a moment. Are you going to tell her to stop? I already tried that before, he said. Didn't work. Then you just watched? Yes. Aaliyah nodded once. Then we both did what we could. He said quietly, You're recording this, aren't you? She didn't answer. Ethan's face changed slightly. Good, he said, then walked back toward his table. Aaliyah kept her eyes on the floor until he was gone. Then she looked up and saw Claudia staring at her from across the room. Neither of them smiled. Aaliyah picked up her tray, straightened her posture, and kept working. The recorder under her collar was still on. Everything that mattered had already been said. The event was almost over. People were leaving, but no one had forgotten what happened. They just pretended to. Aaliyah stood by the bar, collecting empty glasses. Her co-worker, Dean, leaned close and whispered, Everyone saw that, you know. I know, she said. Someone recorded it. Good. You're not scared? Of what? Dean looked around. She's rich. People like that can make trouble. She already did, Aaliyah said. Dean didn't reply. He looked at her for a second and walked away. Across the room, Claudia was still talking to 2 women, her tone loud and defensive. It wasn't my fault, she said. She walked right into me. The whole thing is being exaggerated. One of the women said, People are talking, Claudia. You should just drop it. Drop it. Claudia laughed. I'm the victim here. Ethan came back from call and stopped beside her. Enough, Claudia. She turned. What? Enough, he repeated. Claudia stared at him, shocked. You're taking her side? I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm telling you to stop embarrassing yourself. Claudia crossed her arms. So that's what this is now? I embarrass you? Yes, Ethan said quietly. The two women excused themselves and left. Aaliyah tried not to look, but she could hear everything. Claudia was still angry, but Ethan's voice didn't rise. He said a few words she couldn't catch, and then he walked away again, straight toward Aaliyah. She didn't move. You still working? He asked. Until they say I can go home, she said. I told the manager to clock you out early. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to, he said. You shouldn't have to stay here after what she did. Aaliyah placed another glass on the tray. I've had worse nights. I doubt that. You'd be surprised. Ethan exhaled through his nose. I can't fix what happened, but I can make sure you don't lose your job over it. I'm not worried about that. He studied her face. You don't seem scared of anything. I've been broke before. I've been insulted before. This isn't new. Still, Ethan said, you deserve better. Aaliyah looked at him directly. Then do something about it. He hesitated. What do you mean? You run a company. You have money, people, power. Use it for something that actually matters. Ethan blinked. You think this matters to me? It should, Aaliyah said. It happened in front of you. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan said quietly, you're right. Aaliyah nodded once and turned to leave, but he said, wait. She stopped. He took out a business card and held it toward her. Come to my office Monday. I want to talk. About what? About work, he said. About change. Aaliyah looked at the card, then at him. Does she know you're doing this? No, Ethan said. And I don't care. She took the card, slipped it into her pocket, and said, all right. Monday. As she walked away, Dee met her near the back door. What was that about? Nothing. Looked like something. It's not, she said. Dean stared at her. You're planning something, aren't you? Aaliyah didn't answer. She just looked at him for a second and said, good night, Dean. She left through the staff exit. The street outside was quiet, her clothes still faintly smelling of wine. She touched the recorder under her collar. The light blinked once before she turned it off. Inside the ballroom, Claudia was still talking. Ethan wasn't listening anymore. The next morning came quiet. No music, no noise, no rich people pretending to be good. Just the hum of Boston traffic outside Aaliyah's window. She sat on the edge of her bed, looking at the business card on her nightstand. Ethan Whitmore. Whitmore Development. There was an address and a direct number. No note, no promise. Just an opening. By 8:30, she was standing in front of a glass building downtown. Security guards at the entrance looked up as she stepped in. She wore a simple white blouse and black pants. No uniform this time. Name, one of them asked. Aaliyah Carter. I have an appointment with Mr. Whitmore. The guard checked his list. He's expecting you. 23rd floor. The elevator ride was silent except for the sound of cables moving. Aaliyah watched the numbers climb. Her hands were steady, but her mind wasn't. She didn't know what Ethan wanted or what he expected her to say. When the doors opened, a woman at the front desk smiled politely. Good morning. You're Miss Carter, right? Yes. Mr. Whitmore will see you now. The office was large but quiet. No noise, no crowd, no wine glasses. Ethan was standing by the window, phone in one hand, suit jacket off. He hung up when she entered. Morning, he said. Morning, she replied. He gestured toward the chair across from his desk. Please, sit. She sat down carefully, eyes steady. You said you wanted to talk about work. I did. He took a seat too. I thought a lot about last night. I'm sure you did, she said. He nodded. You were right. I watched something happen and didn't stop it. That's on me. Aaliyah crossed her legs. I didn't come here for an apology. I know. I didn't ask you to. Then what do you want? Ethan leaned forward, elbows on the desk. My company's been getting pressure to change. Diversity, fairness, accountability, all the things we've talked about for years, but never really done. After what I saw last night, I don't want another consultant who gives me a report and disappears. I want someone who knows what that kind of treatment feels like. You want to hire me? Yes. As what? As an external advisor. Someone who looks at how we hire, promote, and treat people inside this company. Someone who can tell me what's wrong without sugarcoating it. Aaliyah stared at him for a long second. Why me? Because you didn't lose your temper, Ethan said. You kept your composure in a room full of people who didn't deserve it. And because you said I should use my power for something that matters. You listened. I did. Aaliyah shook her head slightly. You realize how messy this is, right? Your wife humiliated me in front of 100 people. Now you're offering me a job the next day. I'm offering you an opportunity to do something that might change more than one night. She's still your wife. For now, he said quietly. Aaliyah didn't respond. She looked down at her hands, then back up. I'm not here for pity or image repair. I wouldn't insult you with that, Ethan said. Then what's in it for you? He hesitated. Maybe the chance to build something better than what I've let happen. They sat in silence for a moment. The office air felt heavy but honest. Aaliyah finally said, I'll think about it. Take your time, Ethan replied. But I want to be clear. If you say yes, you'll have full independence. You'll report to me, not HR. I don't want spin. I want truth. Truth is expensive, she said. I can afford it. She stood up. We'll see. As she reached the door, he said, Aaliyah. She turned. You still have that recording, don't you? Yes. Good. Don't delete it. I wasn't planning to. Their eyes held for a few seconds. Then she left. Outside, she stopped by the elevator and exhaled for the first time since walking in. The doors opened, and she stepped inside. Her phone buzzed. A message from Dean. That video from last night's party is spreading. Someone posted it. Aaliyah didn't reply. She looked at her reflection in the elevator door. Calm, serious. No trace of the girl who'd stood in front of Claudia hours ago. The elevator started moving down. By the time she reached the ground floor, she already knew what the next move would be. It was early. The city was already moving. Buses, people, phones ringing somewhere. Aaliyah sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and her laptop open. The video was everywhere now. Someone at the gala had filmed the whole thing. Claudia throwing the wine. The words. The silence that followed. It had gone online overnight. Thousands of views. Comments coming in faster than she could read. Who is that woman? Fire her. The girl handled it better than I would have. Aaliyah closed the screen for a moment and rubbed her eyes. Her phone buzzed again. Dean, you've seen it, right? He said when she picked up. Yeah. Half the city's talking about it. People at the hotel are panicking. The manager wants to know if you'll talk to the press. I won't, she said. You sure? Everyone's asking. I didn't post it. I'm not explaining it. Dean paused. They're trying to find out who did. Some think it was you. Let them think that, she said. I don't care. There was another buzz. A new message. Unknown number. This is Ethan. Call me when you can. Aaliyah said goodbye to Dean and called the number. Ethan answered on the second ring. You've seen the video? He asked. I have. So has everyone else. I know. My phone hasn't stopped. Reporters, board members, lawyers. It's a disaster. Depends who you ask, Aaliyah said. He didn't argue. Can you come in? When? Now. She looked at the time. 8:10. Give me an hour. At Whitmore Development, security was tighter than yesterday. 2 reporters waited near the front doors, calling out questions. She kept walking. Upstairs, the receptionist looked nervous. Mr. Whitmore's been in meetings all morning. He said to let you through. When Aaliyah entered the office, Ethan was at his desk with 2 people, a man in a gray suit and a woman with a notepad. The tension was obvious. Miss Carter, Ethan said. This is Paul, our legal counsel, and Sandra, our communications director. They nodded politely. Sandra spoke first. We're managing the media response. We need to know what you plan to say. I don't plan to say anything, Aaliyah said. Paul added, legally, we're exposed. If your recording surfaces. It already has, Ethan interrupted. That's how the video got out. They both looked at him. You had a copy? Paul asked. No, Ethan said. But someone did. He turned to Aaliyah. Wasn't you? No. Do you know who? I don't, she said. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Paul frowned. You realize this could damage the company. Aaliyah looked at him. What damage your company happened in that ballroom, not online. The room went quiet. Ethan didn't say anything. He just nodded slightly, like he agreed. Sandra broke the silence. Publicly, we can't attack her, she said to Ethan. Not after what people saw. Ethan replied, we're not attacking anyone. We're fixing what caused it. Paul sighed. Then we need a strategy. Ethan turned back to Aaliyah. The offer still stands. I want you to lead the review. Full authority. Start today. She blinked. You're serious? Completely. Paul looked alarmed. Ethan cut him off. I know what it is. Aaliyah leaned forward slightly. If I do this, you can't control what I find. I won't. You'll have to let me talk to your staff. All levels. HR, managers, board members. Whatever you need. Paul tried again. Ethan, this is a risk. It's the right one, Ethan said. Aaliyah looked between them. Then we'll start Monday. Ethan nodded. Agreed. Sandra gathered her papers. We'll prepare a statement. Keep it short, Ethan said. No spin. When they left, the office felt quieter. Aaliyah stayed standing. You realize this is going to get worse before it gets better, she said. I know, Ethan replied. But at least now we're doing something real. She nodded slowly. You sure you're ready for that? Are you? He asked. Yeah, she said. I've been ready for a while. He smiled faintly. Then let's start. Aaliyah reached into her bag, pulled out a folder, and placed it on his desk. Preliminary framework, she said. How to measure bias and inequality inside your system. Ethan looked at it. You already had this? I've been writing it for my thesis, she said. Now it's useful. He tapped the cover once. Good. You'll need an office. I don't need one. I just need access. You'll have it. She picked up her bag. Then I'll see you Monday. As she turned to leave, Ethan said quietly, Thank you for not going public yourself. I didn't need to, she said. The truth went public on its own. She left the office, walking past the open doors and curious glances. The receptionist didn't ask anything. Outside, the reporters were still waiting, shouting questions she didn't answer. Aaliyah kept walking until their voices faded behind her. Monday morning, the air inside Whitmore Development was different from last week. The guard at the door recognized Aaliyah this time. They didn't ask questions. She walked to the elevator. Her badge worked. That alone felt strange. When she reached the 23rd floor, Sandra, the communications director, was waiting by the reception desk. Morning, Miss Carter, she said politely. It's Aaliyah, she replied. Sandra nodded. Ethan's expecting you. He's in the boardroom. The boardroom was all glass and polished wood. 10 people sat around the table, all in suits, all watching as Aaliyah walked in. Ethan stood near the screen at the front. This is Aaliyah Carter, he said. She'll be leading the internal review on equity and inclusion. Someone near the end of the table whispered, The waitress? Aaliyah heard it, but didn't flinch. Yes, she said. That's me. The whisper stopped. Ethan motioned for her to sit. She didn't. I'd rather stand, she said. Go ahead, he replied. Aaliyah opened her folder. Here's how this will work. I'll be meeting staff across all departments. No cameras, no PR filters. I want to hear what actually happens here. Promotions, hiring, pay, discipline. All of it. A man in a navy suit leaned back. And we're supposed to tell you everything? If you want this company to change, yes. He laughed quietly. You sound like you think you're in charge. Ethan spoke before she could. She is for this process. The room went silent again. Aaliyah looked straight at the man. I'm not here to embarrass anyone. I'm here to find out why people like me never make it past the service entrance, while people like you never get questioned. He didn't look up. Another woman spoke. This isn't personal, is it? It is for the people living with it, Aaliyah said. For you, it's data. For them, it's rent, respect, and opportunity. Ethan cleared his throat. You'll cooperate fully with Miss Carter's review. Any issues come to me directly. Nobody argued after that. When the meeting ended, people left without small talk. Sandra stayed behind, collecting papers. You handled that well, she said. I wasn't trying to handle it, Aaliyah replied. Just doing the job. Sandra hesitated. You know they're going to test you, right? I expect them to. What will you do when they push back? Push harder. Sandra gave a half smile. I almost feel sorry for them. Aaliyah picked up her folder. Don't. They'll be fine. They just have to tell the truth. Later that afternoon, she sat in a small conference room with 2 junior employees, one from accounting, one from HR. Both looked nervous. "This isn't formal," she said. "I'm not your boss. I just want you to talk." The man from accounting spoke first. "You're not recording, right?" "No." He nodded slowly. "Then yeah, there's a problem here. They say we promote based on merit, but that's not true. If you don't look like them, you don't move." Aaliyah wrote nothing. "Names?" He hesitated. "You'll protect us?" "I'm not here to expose individuals. I'm here to prove patterns. But yes, I'll protect you." The HR woman added, "It's not just promotions. It's the way people talk, the jokes, the comments. You stop reacting, or you won't last." "Has anyone ever filed a complaint?" Aaliyah asked. "They tried," the woman said quietly. HR shut it down, said there wasn't enough evidence. Aaliyah looked at her. "How long have you worked here?" 5 years. "And you?" she asked the man. 3. "Then you both know what the culture is. Tell me everything you've seen." They did, for 40 minutes straight. When they left, Aaliyah stayed behind. She took out her recorder, pressed the button, and spoke quietly. Day 1. Internal interviews confirm bias in promotion and HR reporting. She stopped the recording and slipped it back into her bag. Ethan appeared at the door a few minutes later. "How'd it go?" "Better than I expected," she said. "You already found something?" "I didn't have to. It's everywhere." He stepped into the room. "You know this isn't going to be easy. They'll fight back." "I know. You're calm about it. I've dealt with worse." Ethan nodded slowly. "You always sound like you've already thought 5 steps ahead." "Maybe I have," she said. He smiled faintly. "I'd like to see your report when it's ready. You'll get it when it's done. Not before." "Fair enough." He paused, then said, "My lawyer's been asking if you plan to sue." "I'm not," Aaliyah said. "Why not?" "Because I don't need to." Ethan looked at her a moment longer, then said, "You know, you don't act like anyone I've met in this business." "I'm not in this business," she said. "Not yet." He laughed quietly. "You will be." Aaliyah picked up her notes. "We'll see." When she left the room, Ethan watched her go. He didn't say anything else. He just knew something had already started that he couldn't stop even if he wanted to. By Wednesday, everyone at Whitmore Development knew who Aaliyah was. Some said she was just a waitress who got lucky. Others said she was here to take people's jobs. A few said nothing, which meant they were watching. She didn't care which group they were in. She had meetings to run. That morning she was in the HR department, sitting across from 2 senior managers, Paul from legal and Marlene from human resources. Ethan had asked them to cooperate. Neither looked happy about it. Paul spoke first. "We've already done diversity training. Twice." Aaliyah nodded. "And did it work?" He frowned. "That's not the point." "It's exactly the point," she said. Marlene crossed her arms. "You're not here to judge us. You're here to make recommendations." "I can't recommend anything if you don't tell me what's wrong." Paul leaned back. "You seem very confident for someone who doesn't know how this company runs." "I know enough," Aaliyah said. "I know what happened last week. I know what's in your employee files. And I know your turnover rate for minority staff is double the company average." He looked at her. "You read our files?" "I was given access," she said. Ethan approved it. The room went quiet. Marlene said, "Look, we don't want trouble. But you can't just come in here acting like everyone's guilty." "I didn't say everyone's guilty. I said everyone's responsible." Paul smirked. "That's a nice line. You rehearsed that." "No," Aaliyah said. "I lived it." Marlene sighed. "You're making people nervous." "They should be nervous," Aaliyah replied. "That means they're finally paying attention." Paul stood. "We're done here." "No, we're not," Ethan said from the doorway. He'd been listening for a few minutes. Both managers turned. He walked in calmly. "You were told to give her full cooperation." Marlene said, "We are cooperating." "Then stay seated," Ethan said. Paul sat back down slowly. "You really think this is helping, Ethan? You're destroying morale." "I think morale was already destroyed for some people," Ethan said. "We just stopped ignoring it." Aaliyah didn't speak. She let him handle it. After a tense pause, Ethan said, "Give her whatever she needs." Then he looked at Aaliyah. "Anything else for now?" "Not yet," she said. He nodded once and left. When he was gone, Marlene muttered, "He's changed." Aaliyah looked at her. Maybe he finally started paying attention. That afternoon, Aaliyah was in the break room when 2 younger employees walked in. They looked nervous but curious. You're the one from the video, right? One asked. Yeah, Aaliyah said. Was it really that bad in person? It was worse. They exchanged a glance. The other one said quietly, we saw the way people look at you. Some of them hate that you're here. I noticed. You don't care. Not really, Aaliyah said. I didn't come here to make friends. What did you come for? To make it harder for people like that to stay comfortable. They didn't know what to say to that. One finally smiled a little. You talk different from everyone here. I'm not from here, she said simply. Before they left, one of them said, for what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. Aaliyah nodded. Then do your job right. That's how you help. Late in the day, Ethan called her to his office again. He was reading something on his screen when she walked in. Close the door, he said. She did. What's going on? Paul just sent me an email. He says several department heads are threatening to resign if this review continues. Let them, Aaliyah said. Ethan looked up. That's easy for you to say. It's easy because it's right. If they're leaving, it's because they have something to hide. He rubbed his forehead. You're not wrong, but this could blow up fast. The board's already nervous. I told you it would get worse before it gets better. I remember. You wanted the truth. This is what it looks like. He leaned back in his chair. You don't pull punches, do you? No point, she said. He was quiet for a moment. You remind me of someone I used to work for. She never backed down either. What happened to her? She became my boss, he said. Aaliyah smiled slightly. Good for her. Ethan nodded. You think this company can actually change? I don't know yet, Aaliyah said. Depends on whether you can take the hits that come with it. He looked at her. And if I can't, then all of this was for show. Ethan stared at her for a moment, then said quietly, it's not for show. Then prove it, she said, and left the office. When she walked past the open cubicles, people went silent again. She didn't slow down. She didn't need them to like her. She just needed them to start thinking. It was almost 7 when the last people started leaving the building. The office lights dimmed, but Aaliyah's desk lamp was still on. She was reviewing notes from the interviews, writing short lines in a legal pad. Facts, not opinions. Ethan had told her she didn't need to stay this late. She stayed anyway. A knock on the door broke the silence. Ethan stood there, jacket over his arm. You're still here, he said. So are you, she replied without looking up. He stepped inside. You've been here all week. You should take a break. I'll take one when this report is done. He leaned on the doorframe. You don't slow down, do you? No reason to, she said. The problems don't. He walked closer. What have you found so far? Enough to make people uncomfortable. Define uncomfortable. Emails, hiring gaps, pay differences. It's not new. It's just written down now. Ethan exhaled. You're going to make enemies. I already have them, she said. They just haven't said it out loud yet. He looked at her notes. You really think you can fix this? I can expose it, she said. Fixing it is your job. Ethan sat down across from her. You talk like this doesn't bother you. It does, she said. I just don't show it. He nodded slowly. That's what makes people underestimate you. They always do, Aaliyah said. He was quiet for a moment, watching her write. You know, the first time I saw you at that gala, I thought you were angry. I was, she said. But you didn't show it. I learned early that anger doesn't change anything by itself. It just gives them what they expect. So what has changed things? Work, she said. Proof. Documentation. The kind of things they can't talk their way out of. Ethan smiled faintly. You sound like a lawyer. I don't need to be one, she said. I just need to be right. He laughed under his breath. You are. She looked up. Then you understand why this has to be done properly. I do, he said. The board's meeting Friday. They want an update. Then tell them it's going to hurt before it helps. That's not the message they want. It's the only one they'll get. Ethan looked at her again, longer this time. You know, every time you walk into a room, people stop talking. I noticed, she said. Doesn't bother you? No. Silence means they're thinking. He smiled. Or terrified. Either one works, she said. Ethan leaned back, still watching her. You're not afraid of much, are you? I'm afraid of wasting time, Aaliyah said. That's about it. He nodded slowly, stood, and said, I'll walk you out. You don't have to. I know, he said, but I will. They took the elevator down together. The building was almost empty. The sound of the doors closing echoed in a quiet lobby. At the exit, he asked, What happens if this report gets out before we're ready? Then at least the truth is out, she said. Even if it takes me down too? Aaliyah looked at him. If you're serious about fixing it, you shouldn't worry about that. He nodded. You really don't make this easy. It's not supposed to be easy, she said. He smiled just a little. You know, you make a hell of an executive. I'm not interested in titles. You should be, he said. You're already doing more work than most of mine. She didn't respond. They stood at the door for a moment. The night air outside was cold. Ethan said quietly, "Thank you for not walking away from this." "I didn't do it for you," Aaliyah said. "I did it because someone had to." He nodded again. "Still, I'm glad it's you." Aaliyah didn't answer. She just pushed open the door and stepped out into the street. Ethan stayed behind, watching her go until she disappeared into the crowd. Inside the building, the lights turned off automatically. By the start of the second week, the office had changed. People didn't smile anymore when Aaliyah passed. They looked up from their screens, pretended to check emails, then whispered once she was gone. That morning, she found a folded note on her desk. "No name. You don't belong here. Go back to waiting tables." She looked at it for a few seconds, then placed it in a folder with her documentation. 10 minutes later, Ethan appeared at her door. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she replied, not looking up. "You got something on your desk?" "Yeah." She slid the note toward him. He read it once, jaw tightening. "Do you know who left it?" "No. I'll have security check the cameras." "Don't bother," she said. "Whoever did it isn't stupid enough to get caught." "It's harassment, Aaliyah. I've been harassed before. This isn't new." Ethan leaned on the desk. "You shouldn't have to deal with it." "I already do. Every day. You just didn't see it before." He sighed. "You don't make it easy to help you." "I don't need help," she said. "I need results." At lunch, she sat in the corner of the cafeteria with her notes open. A few tables away, two employees whispered. "That's her, right?" "Yeah, the one from the video. She's gonna get someone fired." "Good. About time." Aaliyah kept eating. She didn't look up once. Dean called while she was finishing. "You alive?" "Barely. I saw the article online. They're saying you're running some kind of investigation." "I am. They called you a diversity enforcer." "That's new," she said dryly. Dean hesitated. "You okay?" "I'm working," she said, and hung up. That afternoon, Marlene from HR showed up. She didn't knock. "Got a minute?" "Sure." Marlene closed the door. "I'm hearing a lot of noise. People think you're going too far." Aaliyah didn't look up. "Too far how?" "You're asking for private records, talking directly to staff without going through managers." "I'm doing what Ethan told me to do." Marlene folded her arms. "You're upsetting people." "Good," Aaliyah said. "That means it's working." "You can't talk like that," Marlene said sharply. "This isn't some activist project. It's a company. I know exactly what it is. That's why I'm here." Marlene exhaled through her nose. "Look, I get that you're passionate, but you're making enemies. Important ones. I've had worse enemies. Not like these." Aaliyah finally looked up. "You came here to warn me or threaten me?" "Neither," Marlene said. "I came here because I've seen people like you before. You push too hard, and the system pushes back." "Then let it push," Aaliyah said. "I'm not backing up." Marlene hesitated. "There's also talk about you and Ethan." Aaliyah stared at her. "What talk?" "That there's something between you two. You're meeting privately. People notice." Aaliyah kept her tone even. "We're working. I know that. But it doesn't look like that to others." "I don't care how it looks," Aaliyah said. "They should pay more attention to their jobs." "You don't understand," Marlene said quietly. "Rumors like this stick. They'll use it to discredit everything you find." Aaliyah stood up. "Then they'll have to try harder." Marlene blinked. "You really think Ethan's going to protect you when this blows up?" "I don't need him to," she said. "I protect myself." Marlene stared at her for a moment, then left without another word. Around 5, Ethan called. "Can you come up?" When Aaliyah entered his office, he looked more tired than usual. "You seen the leak?" he asked. "What leak?" He turned his monitor toward her. Screenshots of her internal notes were spreading online. Quotes, data, even employee initials. She stared for a second. "Who had access?" "Just me, you, and the legal team." "Then someone scared," she said. Ethan rubbed his forehead. "This could destroy us." "Then it deserves to," she said. He looked at her. You're serious. I told you what happened. You said you could handle it. I can, he said. But they're coming after you too. You've been called every name possible in the last 12 hours. I stopped reading after the first 50, Aaliyah said. You're not worried? Worried doesn't change anything. He leaned back in his chair. You ever get tired of fighting? Every day, she said. I just don't stop. He looked at her like he wanted to say something else, but didn't. The board wants an emergency meeting tomorrow. They want you there. To defend myself? To explain this mess, he said. Then I'll explain it, Aaliyah said, with evidence. Ethan nodded slowly. You sure you want to face them alone? I've been alone before. I'll be fine. He hesitated. You shouldn't have to be. Aaliyah grabbed her bag. Don't make this about me. Make it about what's right. She turned to leave, but he said quietly, You know, they'll come for me too. Then we'll see who really believes in change, she said and walked out. That night, back in her apartment, the city felt too quiet. She sat at her small kitchen table, reading through her notes again, marking points she'd use in a meeting. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Keep going. You're not the only one who's seen it. No name, no context. She looked at the message for a moment, then locked the screen. The fear she should have felt wasn't there. Just focus. Tomorrow, she would walk into that boardroom and make them listen, even if they hated every word. She closed her notebook, exhaled once, and looked out the window at the lights across the city. It wasn't over. Not even close. The meeting started exactly at 9. The air in the boardroom felt heavy before anyone spoke. Every seat was filled. 9 board members, Ethan at the head of the table, Paul from legal, Sandra from communications, and Aaliyah sitting alone at the far end with a folder and a recorder beside it. No one smiled. No one offered coffee. Paul started. Miss Carter, this isn't a courtroom. You're here to explain what's happening, not accuse people. Aaliyah looked straight at him. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm showing what your own records say. He gave a tight smile. You've caused a media storm. Leaks, rumors, stories online. Before we discuss your records, maybe you'd like to explain how confidential material left this building. I didn't leak anything, she said calmly. Someone inside did. Probably someone who didn't like what I found. That's convenient, Paul said. It's also true, Aaliyah replied. Sandra cleared her throat. We're being buried in press calls. The stories everywhere. We need one voice, one statement, or this gets worse. Ethan spoke without looking up. We're not releasing a statement until we know what's real. Miss Carter's findings are the only thing that matters right now. Paul turned toward him. Ethan, with all due respect, you're letting this get personal. It became personal the second my wife threw wine on one of our workers, Ethan said. His tone was calm but cold. The room went silent. Aaliyah opened her folder and began passing printed pages down the table. You can read for yourselves. Salaries, promotions, retention. 5 years of data. Nora, one of the older board members, adjusted her glasses and scanned the first page. This can't be accurate, she said quietly. It's accurate, Aaliyah said. I verified everything with payroll. Minorities are paid less, promoted slower, and evaluated by different standards. Another member leaned forward. That's a strong claim. It's not a claim. It's math, she said. Your HR department uses language like fit and culture to justify bias. Same pattern in every department. Paul slammed his pen on the table. This is inflammatory. Aaliyah didn't raise her voice. It's reality. You just didn't want to look at it. A woman in a gray suit asked. And what exactly do you expect this board to do about it? Start by admitting it's real, Aaliyah said. Then fix the system that made it possible. That's not specific, Paul said. I'll give you specific, she said, pulling another sheet. Department heads recommending friends for internal openings. Pay gaps up to 30%. Complaints buried by HR before they reached legal. Want names? I have them too. The board member beside Nora shifted uncomfortably. That's enough. No, Aaliyah said. Enough is when people stop losing opportunities because they don't look like you. Ethan watched her speak. He didn't interrupt once. Sandra looked up from her notes. If this goes public. It already is public, Aaliyah said. You just haven't admitted it yet. Nora leaned forward. Miss Carter, I'm not questioning your motives, but why are you still here? You could walk away, take a settlement, go somewhere safer. Aaliyah looked at her. Because people like me always get told to walk away. I'm staying because if I leave, you'll forget by next week. Paul muttered. This is emotional. No, she said. It's professional. I'm showing you what you refuse to see. Ethan finally spoke. She's right. I'll let this place run on autopilot too long. If she hadn't shown up, we'd still be pretending everything was fine. Paul stared at him. You're admitting liability on record? I'm admitting truth, Ethan said. Liability comes after denial. Nora folded her papers. So what happens now? Aaliyah straightened. You open the books. You let me finish the audit. You stop protecting people who think discrimination is a personality trait. And you start hiring based on merit, not last names. The silence stretched. Finally, Nora said, and if we don't, then the next leak won't come from me, Aaliyah said. It'll come from someone who's tired of waiting. Paul leaned back, jaw tight. You think threats get you change? They're not threats, she said. They're warnings. Ethan pushed his chair back. This discussion's over. We'll move forward with our plan. You can't decide that alone, Paul said. I can, Ethan said. And I just did. Nora nodded slowly. Let her continue. She's earned the right to be heard. The rest of the board didn't argue. Aaliyah gathered her papers. Before leaving, she said quietly, You can hate me all you want. Just fix the system that made me necessary. As she walked out, in the hallway, Ethan caught up with her. You didn't hold back. I wasn't supposed to, she said. They're angry. Good. Anger means movement. They'll come after both of us, he warned. They already are, she said. He followed her toward the elevator. You were right about one thing. None of them listened until they were forced to. Aaliyah pressed the elevator button. That's usually how it goes. He hesitated. Do you ever stop pushing? No, she said. Stopping is how they win. Ethan looked at her for a long second. You're changing this place, you know that? Not yet, she said. But I will. The doors opened. As she stepped in, Ethan said quietly, I meant what I said in there. I'm done pretending. Aaliyah nodded. Then we're finally on the same side. The doors closed. That night, the story hit every major outlet. Whitmore board confronts internal discrimination scandal. Anonymous employee blows whistle on toxic corporate culture. Online, clips of the leaked meeting audio spread fast. Aaliyah's voice, calm, steady, undeniable, played over headlines and comment threads. At her apartment, she watched for a minute, then turned off the TV. The noise didn't matter. What mattered was that they'd listened, even if it took a fight to make them do it. She opened her laptop, added a line to her notes, and whispered to herself, one chapter done. Then she started writing the next one. It started early. By 7 a.m., every major news channel was running the story. Clips from the leaked board meeting, interviews with employees who refused to show their faces, and headlines that wouldn't stop scrolling. Whitmore development under investigation for discrimination. Leaked audio sparks corporate firestorm. CEO's wife named in viral video scandal. Claudia Whitmore's face was everywhere. The video of her throwing wine had resurfaced, replayed in slow motion, dissected on morning shows. Some hosts called her a symbol of privilege. Others called her a reminder of what's still wrong. By 8, she was on the phone with her lawyer. They're destroying me, she said, pacing her kitchen. Make it stop. You went viral, Claudia, the lawyer said. There's no stopping it now. You need a statement. Something public, apologetic. I'm not apologizing to her, Claudia snapped. She humiliated me. She didn't post the video, the lawyer said. And she's not the one doing interviews. You are the story, not her. Claudia threw her phone on the counter. She's nothing. A waitress pretending to be important. Her husband's voice came from the doorway. She's not pretending, Claudia. You are. Claudia froze. Ethan stood there, holding his briefcase, already dressed for work. You knew this day was coming, he said. You think this is justice? You let her destroy our name. She didn't destroy it. You did, Ethan said quietly. I just stopped covering for you. You're leaving me over this? I left a long time ago. This just made it official. He walked past her, picked up his keys, and said, Our lawyers will handle the rest. Claudia stood there shaking, watching him go. At the office, security was checking IDs and turning away reporters. Inside, Ethan was meeting with the board again. The pressure was worse now. Investors pulling out, clients demanding answers, and reporters camping in the lobby. Aaliyah arrived through the side entrance. She didn't hide. She walked straight to the elevator. When she stepped off on the 23rd floor, half the staff turned to look. Nobody spoke. Sandra approached her. "It's chaos downstairs," she said. "You've seen the news?" "I have. They're asking for a comment from you personally." "I'm not giving one," Aaliyah said. "Then what should I tell them?" "Tell them the company's finally facing what it ignored." Sandra nodded. "They'll twist that. They always do." Ethan came out of the conference room. "Aaliyah," he said, "we need to talk." She followed him in. The boardroom was smaller today. Only 5 members showed up. The rest were joining remotely, which everyone knew meant hiding. Paul was already there, angry. "You've created a nightmare," he said. "No," Aaliyah said. "I revealed one. You think this is some victory? We're bleeding money, losing contracts, and your face is on every channel." "It's not about my face," she said. "It's about your culture." Nora cut in. "Enough blame. What's the solution?" "Accountability," Aaliyah said. "Publicly. You issue an apology. You commit to change. You name the problem and the people who caused it." Paul slammed his pen down. "You want us to throw Claudia under the bus?" "She put herself there," Aaliyah said. Ethan said quietly, "She's no longer part of the company. Effective immediately." Paul blinked. "You fired your wife?" "She doesn't work here," Ethan said. "And yes, I did." The room fell silent. Aaliyah opened her folder. "Then we move forward. But you don't get to hide behind PR. You rebuild in public. Transparent audits, new hiring policies, fair pay scales. Every number out in the open." Paul muttered, "You're asking for a war." "It's already started," Aaliyah said. Ethan looked around the table. "Any objections?" No one spoke. "Then it's decided," he said. "Aaliyah, you'll lead the implementation." Paul threw up his hands. "You can't just hand her power like that." "I can," Ethan said, "because she's the only one here who's earned it." Aaliyah closed her folder. "Then let's get to work." Outside, the reporters were waiting. As Ethan and Aaliyah stepped out of the building, microphones flashed. "Miss Carter, did you leak the video?" "Mr. Whitmore, is it true your wife's been removed from the board? Are you two working together now?" Ethan didn't speak. Aaliyah stopped for 1 second. "The truth is out," she said. "That's enough for now." They kept walking until the noise faded. That evening, Aaliyah sat in her apartment watching the city lights. Her phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. "You did it. They're finally listening." She didn't reply. She just stared at the message, then set the phone face down on the table. The TV behind her played another headline. Former socialite Claudia Whitmore issues public apology. The clip showed Claudia sitting stiffly in front of cameras, reading from a paper. "I made mistakes. I spoke carelessly. I was wrong." Her voice shook halfway through. The host on screen added, "Her husband, Ethan Whitmore, confirmed earlier today that she is no longer involved in the company." Aaliyah watched for a moment, then turned off the TV. The room went quiet. For the first time in weeks, she let herself breathe. Not relief, just space. Her laptop sat open with a blank document. She began typing. "Final phase report. Whitmore Development Internal Audit." She wrote for hours about what she'd seen, what needed to change, what had already begun to shift. No speeches, no drama, just work. At midnight, she stopped, looked at the screen, and smiled slightly. Tomorrow, she'd deliver it. Across the city, Ethan was in his office alone, reading messages from investors, employees, and old friends who suddenly wanted to help. He ignored them all. Instead, he opened an email from Aaliyah, a single line. "Truth always costs something. At least we paid for the right thing." He read it twice, then closed his laptop. The next morning, the headlines changed again. Whitmore Development announces reform program led by Aaliyah Carter. From waitress to executive, the woman who changed a company. And for once, nobody argued with the headline. Whitmore Development looked different. The glass doors still shined, the logo still glimmered, but the faces inside had changed. New managers, new interns, new rules. The diversity office occupied a full floor now, once a forgotten HR annex, now a department with actual power. Reports weren't filtered anymore. Complaints got answers. Promotions were logged and reviewed. The quiet rut had been scraped out, replaced with something real. At the center of it sat Aaliyah Carter, no longer the consultant. Her title read Director of Equity and Culture. People actually knocked before entering her office. "Morning, boss," Dean said, dropping a folder on her desk. "That's the last audit report. Finance looks clean." "Good," Aaliyah said. "Legal next?" "Tomorrow." "They're scared of you." "They should be," she said without looking up. Dean grinned. "You ever going to take a day off?" "When I stop finding things to fix." He sat down. "You do know you won, right?" Aaliyah glanced up. "This wasn't a game." "Still feels like one," he said. "You flipped the board." She smiled slightly. "Then let's make sure it stays flipped." Across town, Claudia Whitmore sat in a cafe with her sunglasses on, scrolling through her phone. Every few months, someone still posted the video. Every few months, she'd email her PR team asking them to take it down. It never worked. Her apology video had gotten millions of views and twice as many comments. The sympathy phase was long over. Her old friends had stopped returning calls. Her name was a case study now, the fall of a socialite. She closed the phone and stared out the window. A mother and daughter walked by, laughing. Claudia watched them until they disappeared from sight. For the first time in her life, no one cared where she was. Ethan stepped into Aaliyah's office around 5 that evening. He looked tired but lighter than before. "Long day?" she asked. "Long 6 months," he said. "But worth it. You keeping your word?" "I am. We've replaced half the senior staff. New training, new pay structure." Investors came back after they saw the changes. "And you?" she asked. "You came back too?" He paused. "Not to the same person. That version of me should have ended with her." Aaliyah nodded slowly. "Good answer." He sat across from her. "You ever think about what would have happened if that night never happened?" "All the time," she said. "Then I remind myself, it did." He smiled faintly. "You planning to stay?" "For now. There's still work to do." "I'm glad you did what you did," he said quietly. "I didn't do it for you." "I know," he said. "That's why it worked." They both laughed softly, the first unforced sound between them in months. A week later, Aaliyah stood in front of a room full of new hires. They were young, nervous, hopeful. She looked at them and saw herself years ago, trying to prove she deserved to be in the room. "This company has history," she said. "Some of it good, some of it ugly. What matters now is that you make the next part better." A hand went up. "Why did you stay?" "After everything." Aaliyah thought for a second. "Because leaving doesn't change anything. Staying does." They nodded. The words weren't dramatic, but they landed. That night, she walked home through the city. The lights, the noise, the late buses, all of it ordinary again. She passed a hotel that looked familiar. For a moment, she remembered the spilled wine, the laughter, the silence afterward. Then she kept walking. Her phone buzzed. A notification from the news. Whitmore Development named one of the country's most ethical employers. She smiled, half disbelief, half pride. At home, she set her bag down and looked around her small apartment. The same one she'd lived in before everything changed. The same cracked coffee mug, the same window view. Different life. She opened her laptop and began typing the first chapter of a book proposal. Title: Document Everything. Subtitle: How One Night Changed a System Built to Ignore People Like Me. She paused, then added a note under it, dedicated to everyone who stayed silent because no one listened. I listened. The city hummed outside. For the first time in a long time, she felt still. Justice hadn't come from revenge or exposure. It came from staying, from working, from refusing to disappear. And somewhere in the noise of a world still catching up, Aaliyah Carter had finally found her place. Not as the woman humiliated at a gala, but as the one who turned humiliation into change.